the world needs now is Trump, Donald Trump. He'll make America great again, and maybe the whole world.
I wake up determined to deliver a better life for the people all across this nation that have been ignored, neglected, and abandoned. These are the forgotten men and women of our country, and they are forgotten, but they're not going to be forgotten long. These are people who work hard, but no longer have a voice. I am your voice. And if you put me back in the White House, their reign is over. Their reign will be over. And they know it. And America will be a free nation once again. We're not a free nation right now. We don't have free press. We don't have free anything. In 2016, I declared, I am your voice. Today, I add, I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution. I am your retribution. Not going to let this happen. Not going to let it happen. I will totally obliterate the deep state. I will fire.
Hi, fellow patriots. This is Peter Boykin from #GoRight. Share this right now. Time to go right. Hi, folks. This is Peter Boykin, and thank you for tuning in to #GoRight. We have a lot of articles to talk about today and some viral videos thrown in the mix. Donald Trump delivers at CPAC 2023. CPAC. Empty seats. But why? Trump plans a quantum leap for America's standard of living. Letters to Trump. We got a lot and more. It's time to go right. We'll be right back with this story from Go Right News. You can follow us on gorightnews.com for more information. Do you like what you see? I will be running in 2024, and I'll need lots of support and funding. FYI, small amounts add up, and I can take donations through the website. The website is peterboykin.com. That's peterboykin.com, and it's updated. I plan to run a clean campaign, as we will have a lot of candidates running, and I just hope that money doesn't continue to decide who runs things in Raleigh or D.C. Our government should be ran by the people and mainly by those like myself who can understand the everyday struggles of its citizens. Win or lose, I cannot just sit on the sidelines and comment. Running is activism. So if you have or you like the content that I have put out in the past, please help me towards the future. Let's hashtag go right with Peter Boykin.
Trump. Trump. Trump.
Donald Trump delivers at CPAC 2023.
The Donald Trump. I wanna be like.
Donald Trump is a tour de force that showcases rhetorical skills and political savvy. As one of the most influential and controversial figures in American politics, Trump has been a lightning rod for criticism and praise alike. Donald Trump's speech at CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference, was a highly anticipated event among his supporters and critics alike. Trump used this platform to assure his followers that the hashtag MAGA movement, that's Make America Great Again, movement is stronger than ever, and that he still has a significant role to play in it. Trump was triumphant with his populist message, and as always, it resonated with his base. Trump's speech was a strong and passionate defense of his policies, his vision, and his leadership. He spoke about the totally rigged system that he had inherited and the achievements of his administration and the challenges that lie ahead. He also attacked his opponents, the media, and the establishment, and roused the audience with his trademark style and humor. This is why Trump resonates with so many Americans. Just consider the implications of what he said he could accomplish if successful. Not only does it guarantee he was always the best person for the job, but it helps secure the future of American politics. It is no doubt that Trump can deliver in 2024 and beyond, as his way is the only winning direction of the Republican Party. Ultimately, I will argue that Trump's speech at CPAC was a resounding success, both in terms of its content and delivery, and that it reaffirmed his position as a dominant figure in the conservative movement. No wonder why they want to try to throw him in jail or arrest him. Good luck. You can read about this and more on gorightnews.com. Trump 2024.
We will use all necessary state, local, federal, and military resources to carry out the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. Other countries are emptying out their prisons, insane asylums, and mental institutions, and sending all of their problems right into their dumping ground, the USA. Think of it. They're emptying out their prisons, and you've heard me say that, but they're also emptying out their mental institutions. And to use a strong couple of words, insane asylum. Insane asylum, that's where, anybody see Silence of the Lamb? That's where they come from, insane asylum. That's a stronger word than a mental institution. And they're putting them into our country. Thank you very much. I will ask every state and federal agency to identify every known or suspected gang member in America, and every one of them that is here illegally, and the towns know who they are. The towns and cities are the police. We love our police. And I will implement a 4-year plan to phase out all Chinese imports of essential goods and gain total independence from China. We have to do it. We have to do it. I will hold China financially accountable for unleashing the China virus upon the world. And I will again withdraw from the WHO, which stands for We Hide Outbreaks. We hide outbreaks. We are never going to be a country ruled by entrenched political dynasties in both parties, rotten special interests, China-loving politicians, of which there are many. You listening to this, Mitch McConnell? Are you listening? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You don't know the hell I've been through. You don't know the price I've
CPAC.
paid.
Empty seats.
The walls I'm breaking.
But why?
Time I'm facing all my days.
I want to give you a little note about CPAC. So CPAC 2023 in the Washington, D.C. has come and went. And it seems from pictures and media that the crowds from before were just not there. Maybe the people were enjoying all the action on Media Row. Those pictures look great. Maybe they were downstairs in the exhibition hall. Yet accounts in some articles say sales are down. Now, I help moderate a CPAC attendee group on Facebook and can say there were some grumblings about CPAC returning to the DC area, and many claim they were not going, but hundreds have shared pictures and have attended this year. I wish I had went, but I couldn't afford it. Can't afford it every year. So what is going on, and what happened this year? Maybe it's the cost. Everything is higher: gas, rent, hotels, ticket prices, and the uncertainty for everyone under a Democratic president. Or maybe it was worse. Maybe it is that the right just is really low energy. There was an article that said CPAC 2023, fewer attendees, but Donald Trump is still the favorite. CPAC 2023 is low energy. Even ahead of Donald Trump's speech, the ultra-conservative conference struggled to fill seats or find sponsors to pay for them. Many reasons, or guests included the fact that CPAC now seems to have an event every quarter of a year in a different location in America. Florida, Texas, etc., and other countries. Maybe CPAC has spread itself too thin. From experience, CPAC has a lot of media invited, which includes an 80% plus left-leaning reporters, so bad press is inevitable. Meanwhile, for the last 2 years, when CPAC was in Florida, I personally applied for Media Row and was declined, where I did have a spot in 2020 in DC, where I used to be able to get one. I did in 2020 when CPAC was in DC. Was it something I said? Or is it the fact that CPAC used to be about the grassroots? It was founded for political action, which had a mission of pushing grassroots. But like most great organizations, they grow to a point where there are bills to pay, and these events are expensive, and grassroots and citizen journalism gets pushed aside to bring in people that can pay the bills. And if you've seen the pictures from Radio Row, huge, huge businesses on Radio Row, lots of big organizations doing lots of podcasts and videos and news. It's almost as much in Radio Row. Doesn't leave much for the smaller guy, the grassroots. Maybe that's why I couldn't get a spot. So maybe CPAC needs to find a way to let the citizen journalists and podcasters back in, as it seems Radio Row has now become a row of big media and big names, while fewer and fewer podcasts are given space, thus my denial. That fact is this year, I didn't bother to apply. And being grassroots, I could not afford to buy a ticket or become a sponsor. This year, I could not afford it, saving my funds for my political campaign. So let's play it for ear for next year in 2024. Now, don't get me wrong, I love CPAC. I enjoyed CPAC when I was there, and I would love to go back. I love the speeches. I do question the direction our party is going on, though. I see this surge in extremism in our own party. Those gray areas might just be the destruction of our party. After all, even Trump said that one of these issues with Republican candidates in the 2022 midterms was their focus was the abortion issue. And they focused on it to the extremes that turned off voters. Regardless of how you feel about that issue, it's a gray area. Now, I would tend to think Trump is right, because instead of concentrating on the topics and subjects that all Americans suffer from, illegal immigration, infrastructure, jobs, job security, education, and educational choice, and most important, the quality of life for the citizens of America, these are the real things that matter. But let us go to one big issue and pattern I've seen this year at CPAC. And one might suggest that this is the biggest downfall of the current Republican Party. Maybe this is why there are so many empty spaces. It seems the conservatives in the Republican Party just cannot stop fighting against the constitutional rights of its people. I can understand the LGBTQ community of the left, not the whole community, has been getting involved in some very extreme events lately, with some pushing transgenderism on children. It's hard, instead of letting children, they've been pushing transgenderism on children hard. And instead of letting children, as they have for many, many generations, figure it out on their own, it doesn't help that we have, quote, drag shows, not the one that I've seen or remember, that try to cater to the extreme with performers wearing next to nothing and twerking to children and babies. Yet, as we complain about the performers, we fail to blame the parents that bring their children to these events. So we look like the bad guys for speaking out about them. But what we must remember is that we do not become better if we become bigots and extremists and generalizers in order to combat these individual tumors in the LGBT community. That doesn't mean that we just put out blanket bans on things, people. There's different levels. We're seeing extreme. We know that. I, for one, am alarmed by the number of speakers who included shots at transgenders in general and gays in their speeches. Some of these speeches were actually done properly and alert to specific issues, i.e. Tulsi Gabbard called out the real pedophiles and the MATs, minor attracted people or persons, and the extremism that those on the far left are encouraging this behavior with certain drag shows and other things, and that the Democrat Party is not the party she signed up for and is why she decided to basically go right and leave that party. I do note that even in her speech, She does not bash the whole gay and transgender community, and her speech is very surgical in nature. But then there are others, like this example, that go to extremes. CPAC 2023, live, speakers spark alarm with the call of trans people to be eradicated. Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire sparked alarm of his anti-trans oratory. It's funny, I said, this guy used to follow me when I had my bigger account on Twitter before it was taken down. Quote, transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely, according to him. Now, John Kiefel of Media Matters called it an eliminationist, genocidal rhetoric. Adam Very of Variety urged people to, quote, pay attention. This is genocidal. That is not hyperbole or alarmist. This rhetoric is calling for the eradication of a group of people for who they are. Quote, it would be great if non-trans people would start paying attention to this because the quiet part is getting shouted at this point, according to Jacqueline Moore. This is a concern with the CPAC 2023. This is my concern. Now, in the past, I've seen great LGBTQ representation on stage with Scott Bressler, Tammy Bruce, Brandon Straka, Richard Grinnell. Even Matt Schlapp has reached out, kind of, but I was knocked down from being able to be a speaker. I don't have the money. And there's other speakers who have shown that the big tent of the Republican Party can be a place for all. The Republican Party was founded on the civil rights era to free the slaves and was anti-racism. Eventually, the party was at the forefront of giving women their rights. Now, since 1977, we've had the log cabin Republicans. Although personally, the national group lately has something left to be desired. I personally believe that with the support of Donald Trump, my group, Gays for Trump, and many other Democratic or AKA identity groups, seem to be gaining support never seen before in the Republican Party. Sadly, the honeymoon is over, and I have personally witnessed the rise of LGBTQ hatred more than ever before, and even self-hatred within my own right-wing groups. And many could use the extremism by some of the community as an excuse. But that's just an excuse to push forward homophobia, transphobia, etc., instead of actually surgically shutting down the real problems. Kind of a Tulsi Gabbard approach. What a lot of Republicans do not understand about Donald Trump or even Ronald Reagan is that there is a power in populism and appealing to more than just, quote, conservatives. And that the Republican Party and, quote, conservatives are not the same thing. The Republican Party is full of many viewpoints. Some are more moderate, some libertarians, and others are conservative in many levels of that conservatism. The Republican Party is also suffering from the same rot that the Democrat Party is suffering from, and that is extremism and generalization. In North Carolina, we now have the greatest number of unaffiliated voters. In fact, a base that is larger than both the Democratic and Republican voter base. Why? Because so many decided to, like Brandon Straka said, hashtag go away, hashtag walk away from the extremism of the Democratic Party, and some decided to basically hashtag go right, but not all. For example, Tulsi has spoken about this earlier. She is no longer a Democrat, but not a Republican. And I listened to her at a libertarian conference with Young Americans for Liberty last year in Orlando. We now have many Republicans jumping from the Republican Party for many reasons. Some are tired of an establishment that ignores grassroots, fails to reward its hardest working people, and seems to only think of a party as a business. That's only goal is to use tired talking points to rake in money. And for what? Lose? When the real call to get people elected and to protect the ones collecting all this money are nowhere to be found, nor are we willing to donate for their protest. When the real call to get people elected and to protest the ones collecting all this money are nowhere to be found, nor are they willing to donate to help protest or help grassroots. For many, we are left on our own to beg for funding, which is impossible. It's funny how many in our base of Republicans will complain about issues and things, yet are unwilling to donate or volunteer. But do you blame them? Everyone has their hat out asking for funds lately, and frankly, no one really has the extra money, and there is no real return on investment. So why bother? That takes me back to the case of why our Republican Party and CPAC seem to be losing energy. It goes back to the candidates and those who are, quote, leaders in our party. They don't understand the magic of Trump or Reagan, and that our party has been running on the fumes both these leaders brought to the table. Reagan was a Democrat, Trump was a Democrat, and much like Tulsi, they both saw a way out of the Democratic Party. They, much like myself, believed in the Constitution, and although they might have or eventually classified themselves as, quote, conservative, they very much were more libertarian, centrist, independent, or moderate in their actions, and they appealed to the unaffiliated base, the blue dog Democrats, and the more center-right. And at times, even the fervor right realized they were great candidates and good business. So our Republican Party was infused with this energy, and we won bigly. Crowds came out, and the high energy was there. This energy, though, cannot be held. Though when new or existing candidates do not keep that energy, and our party returns to its low energy ways. This is what happened after 2016. The party went back to low energy mode for 2018. The candidates didn't work hard and thought they could ride the coattails of Trump. And even our party's grassroots didn't work hard to keep us winning. It's not a surprise because midterms always tend to end up becoming a losing ground and losing ground time for the Republican Party. Now, the verdict is still out on what happened in 2020. Maybe it was a combination of election integrity, the China flu, the big C, or the blame that some Republicans deferred towards Trump instead of blaming themselves. All we know is that once again in 2020, we suffered big losses. Then it got worse. The same mindset pre-Trump and that same establishment and base we knew dragged down our party surged back up. Extremism set in, and the uniparty of politicians emerged. The big tent of Republicans was suddenly shut down and pulled down and set on fire, and the old school, first quietly and now loudly, have been trying to purge the good that Trump brought to the table and that political middle. The surge of calling everything woke that we don't like, the increase of homophobic behaviors while disguising itself as going after, quote, the left, and this need to force their specific religious beliefs on all Americans and all but say our party and our government should be ruled under one religion. To be honest, no matter how good intentions those religions might be, that is not how our government was designed to operate. Our constitutional rights give us the freedom to life, liberty, and happiness, and with that, the freedom of speech, and the freedom from and to our religion. That being said, with this resurgence of the heads of our party, our e-celebs, and the organizations bringing back out the blame game, the extremist remarks such as that of Michael Knowles said are not helping. They're not helping the Republican Party at all, and certainly will ensure that if we continue down this dark path, we will be no different than the Democratic Party who let itself be consumed by extremist behaviors and people. At the end of the day, the unaffiliated will grow, and until people take notice, we will continue to see low energy continue in events like CPAC, in rallies, and in donations, and in events for the Republican Party. I don't want to have that happen. That truly is sad because we were there. We had that energy in 2015 to 2017. It was the best of times. Will we ever see it again? I sure hope so.
If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on, if you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but are none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and, which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Trump plans a quantum leap for America's standard of living. Former President Trump released what he's calling his, quote, quantum leap plan to raise the standard of living for American citizens, which includes flying cars, baby bonuses, and futuristic, quote, freedom cities. The details: Trump's proposal was outlined in a short video released as part of a series he's called Agenda 47, a list of policy proposals for his 2024 presidential campaign. He opened the video by declaring, past generations of Americans pursued big dreams and daring projects that once seemed absolutely impossible. They pushed across an unsettled continent and built new cities in the wild frontier. But today, our country has lost its boldness. Under my leadership, we will get it back in a very big way. There are 4 pillars of Trump's quantum leap outline. U.S. freedom cities. Trump proposes taking 0.5% of federal land and holding contests to grant it to the American entrepreneurs to build 10 new freedom cities that will give hundreds of thousands of citizens a new shot at home ownership and, in fact, the American dream. I like that. Flying cars, seriously. Trump points out that dozens of major companies in the United States and China are racing to develop vertical takeoff and landing vehicles for families and individuals. I want to ensure that America, not China, leads this revolution in air mobility. Okay. He believes controlling this area of innovation will be akin to the automotive revolution of the last century and sees it as an opportunity to transform commerce, bring a giant infusion of wealth into rural America, and connect families to our country in many ways, in new ways. Lowering the cost of living. Trump claims this pillar will have a special focus on lowering the cost of a new car or lowering the cost to build a single-family home, and they will be beautiful homes. Trump will ask Congress to authorize baby bonuses for young parents to help launch a new baby boom. I would hope maybe surrogates or people like myself to be able to adopt a baby, something to help us out as well. And modernization and beautification of our cities. Trump proposes challenging the governors of all 50 states to join him in getting rid of ugly buildings and refurbishing parks and public spaces. Trump also proposes building towering monuments to our true American heroes. Now, the big picture, it might feel early, but we are getting in the 2024 primary season, and Trump might be the front runner. But if the DeSantis gets into the race, he will pose a legitimate challenge and will have a string of huge wins in Florida to point towards. So it's smart for Trump to start laying out his policy proposals and remind voters of the many successes he achieved during his presidency. Source of this is Donald J. Trump. And the video is Agenda 47, a new quantum leap to revolutionize the American standard of living. Check that out. I'm going to show that to you right now. Thank you for tuning in.
Past generations of Americans pursued big dreams and daring projects that once seemed absolutely impossible. They pushed across an unsettled continent and built new cities in the wild frontier. They transformed American life with the interstate highway system. Magnificent it was. And they launched a vast network of satellites into orbit all around the earth. But today, our country has lost its boldness. Under my leadership, we will get it back in a very big way. If you look at just 3 years ago, what we were doing was unthinkable. How good it was, how great it was for our country. Our objective will be a quantum leap in the American standard of living. That's what will happen. Here are just a few of the ways we can do it. Almost 1/3 of the land mass of the United States is owned by the federal government, with just a very, very small portion of that land, just a fraction, 1/2 of 1%. Would you believe that? We should hold a contest to charter up to 10 new cities and award them to the best proposals for development. In other words, we'll actually build new cities in our country again. These freedom cities will reopen the frontier, reignite American imagination, and give hundreds of thousands of young people and other people, all hardworking families, a new shot at home ownership and, in fact, the American dream. Another big opportunity is in transportation. Dozens of major companies in the United States and China are racing to develop vertical takeoff and landing vehicles for families and individuals. Just as the United States led the automotive revolution in the last century, I want to ensure that America, not China, leads this revolution in air mobility. These breakthroughs can transform commerce, bring a giant infusion of wealth into rural America, and connect families and our country in new ways. Likewise, through our Strategic National Manufacturing Initiative, which is going to be very big and very, very successful, we will turn forgotten communities into hives of industry, producing the goods we will no longer import from China. We will also have a major initiative on lowering the cost of living with a special focus on lowering the cost of a new car and lowering the cost to build a single-family home. And they will be beautiful homes. And I will ask Congress to support baby bonuses for young parents to help launch a new baby boom. Finally, I'll challenge the governors of all 50 states to join me in a great modernization and beautification campaign, getting rid of ugly buildings, refurbishing our parks and our public spaces, making cities and towns more livable, ensuring a pristine environment, and building towering monuments to our true American heroes. Very importantly, I will also make sure all of these new places are safe. We love and cherish our police. They will do the job the way they have to. It is time to start talking about greatness for our country again. I will dramatically increase living standards and build a future that brings our country together through excitement, opportunity, and success. Thank you very much.
reason. Donald Trump season. Let's make America great and pledge allegiance. The art of the deal. The number one team. The definition of living the American dream. Vote for jobs, more money, better foreign policy.
Letters to Trump.
And new economy.
President Trump is publishing a book of letters he's received throughout the years from famous celebrities, world leaders, and titans of industry, including Hillary Clinton, Oprah, and Ronald Reagan. The book will be titled Letters to Trump and is being published by Trump's Winning Team Publishing. It will include letters from roughly 150 previously private letters, including from Oprah, Hillary Clinton, Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon, Bill Clinton, Princess Diana, Ted Kennedy, Kim Jong-un, Mario Cuomo, Arnold Palmer, Jay Leno, Liza Minnelli, and Regis Philbin. Now, the format: each section will feature the letter Trump received from one of these famous people, along with a photo of them together and written commentary from Trump. One example is an exchange with Oprah. Back in 2000, Trump wrote a book called The America We Deserve. And in the book, he writes his first choice for vice president would be Oprah Winfrey. Americans respect and admire Oprah for her intelligence and caring. I think you remember the whole interview Oprah had with Trump where she was pushing him to become president. That might be where this came from. But Trump sent this excerpt to Oprah, and she wrote back, "I have to tell you, your comments made me a little weepy. It's one thing to try and live a life of integrity. Still another to have people like yourself notice. Too bad we're not running for office. What a team." Now, in the book's commentary, Trump says he still considers amazing, but concedes, "Sadly, once I announced for president, she never spoke to me again." And I did read an article follow-up on this, and Oprah was like, "Well, it was nice to me write it." She kind of wrote it off. "It was nice to me write something nice back to him, and I might have liked him back in 23 years from now, but not now." Okay, well, that's your problem. You could have been vice president. The book will be released on April 25th, 2023. The source of this is Axios, and there's an article to this article on GoRightNews.com.
Ours was the first revolution in the history of mankind that truly reversed the course of government, and with three little words: we the people. We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car, and we decide where it should go and by what route and how fast. Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are. Our Constitution is a document in which we, the people, tell the government what it is allowed to do. We, the people, are free. This belief has been the underlying basis for everything I've tried to do these past 8 years. But back in the 1960s, when I began, it seemed to me that we'd begun reversing the order of things. That through more and more rules and regulations and confiscatory taxes, the government was taking more of our money, more of our options, and more of our freedom. I went into politics in part to put up my hand and say, stop. I was a citizen politician, and it seemed the right thing for a citizen to do. I think we have stopped a lot of what needed stopping. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited. There's a clear cause and effect here that is as neat and predictable as a law of physics. As government expands, liberty contracts.
The Constitution of the United States is the supreme law of the United States of America. It superseded the Articles of Confederation, the nation's first constitution, in 1789. Originally comprising 7 articles, it delineates the national frame and constraints of our government. Without the Constitution, America could not exist.
Without the Constitution, Americans would be fated to live with others throughout human history, at the whims of threatening tyrants and under their dark power of coercion. That's where the enemies of the Constitution mean to drive us today, into the darkness, fighting for our freedoms, prosperity, and the survival of our constitutional republic is our best defense. Thanks for listening to Go Right with Peter Boykin. Please like this post, and please subscribe and follow and share this podcast to all your social media accounts, and visit GoRightNews.com for more Go Right News with Peter Boykin. If you like what you hear, help support the podcast by donating. The link to donate is on GoRightNews.com. Thank you for your support. Check out this news story and more on GoRightNews.com and the podcast #GoRight with Peter Boykin. Go right and register to vote. Your vote matters, so vote. Go right and vote. #Go right. Go right. Do right. Be right. Go right. Do right. Be right. Lead right. Think right. Vote right. Vote right. Think right. Lead right. #Go right. It's time to join the Go Right movement. It is time to #Go Right for America. Join us at GoRight.us and GoRightNews.com. It is time for the Great American Revival, and it is time to #Go Right for America. Thanks again, everybody, for listening to this, and please share it everywhere. Again, this has been #Go Right with Peter Boykin, a part of GoRightNews.com.
With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers. They are people that don't get it, although in some cases they get it. They get it for their wallets, but we can't do that. We can't let that happen. We're living in a third world country, and we had a thing, Keep America Great. It was going to be a theme. We had Make America Great Again. This was going to be a theme because we did so well. Keep America Great, and I couldn't use it because I said America's not great right now. We're laughed at all over the world. We have inflation that's killing us and just killing everybody. We have all of these problems.